So, Josh, welcome and thanks for taking your time for our interview about content creation in the field of digital analytics.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, when I'm looking into my LinkedIn, most of the posts are here from Germany, from German digital analytics consultants. But when I'm lucky, I also see your posts because I think your posts are quite different in a positive kind of way, because you have always a little, yes, Pointe drin. I don't know if you can say it in English. Pointe, it's the punchline of a joke, for example. It's
Yeah,
always some kind of funny things in it. And I
yeah.
would,
We call that the badoonch.
the
Badoonch.
badoons. Ah, great, because I'm a drummer and I know how to play the badoons. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the badoons of your LinkedIn post, but you're not only posting on LinkedIn. I know that you did quite a few songs about digital analytics. You did a whole album about the Universal Analytics Sunset, which is really great. I was in Hungary at the beginning of the year on the Super Week, Analytics Super Week, and I saw there even people running with T-shirts with merchandise from you running there. So
Yeah.
that's should it seems to be a bigger thing, your album and your music in the USA than in Germany. Maybe in a few years there's also people here in Germany buying your merchandise and
You,
stuff.
you gotta leave. You gotta leave that cause. You gotta leave that cause for it.
Yeah, I will post the link to your shop. But maybe you could give a short intro to yourself, Josh. What
Sure.
are you doing
Uh,
when you are not making music, for example?
yeah. So, Josh Silverbauer. I have been in the digital analytics field for about 10 years. Though I really came out of I think I was like kind of like in a cocoon, like a little bit of a caterpillar for like 8 years of that, and then like in the last 2 years, really became that butterfly and went out there and started doing stuff. But before digital analytics, I was in music production and music. So that's where kind of
Okay.
that, I brought that in a couple of years ago, and that's where I am now. But yeah, I mean, I've been in this space for a while. I do consider myself somewhat of a thought leader or expert in this field. But really, what makes me kind of stand out, I would say, is the creativity that I try to bring to digital analytics because there's just not a lot of creativity, I think, or people don't think that those two things could go together
Yeah.
because they're just so different, left side, right side brain.
Yeah.
But like if you combine them, I think there's this really beautiful sweet spot of, just content creation that you can do with it. So, yeah.
Exactly. I just was recently on your website, and there you have also this left brain and right brain hemisphere you were
hmm
talking about. And when I was on your website, I immediately thought, okay, that's a non-typical agency or freelancer website, because if you imagine the typical analytics freelancer or agency website, there's always some like the same pictures, the same images, the same structure. You always got
hmm
those three element structure with tracking, reporting, analyzing, for example, and your website stands out, I
Thank you.
would say, and it's like you call yourself analytics wizard.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's some funny
It was,
thing.
there's always like, I think, there's a lot of terms that are kind of overplayed. Wizard is one of them. Ninja is one of them, like guru is one of them.
Yeah,
But like, I was like, I'm just gonna like lean into wizard harder than anybody has leaned into wizard before. And I think it
yeah.
works, so
So there are people that are actually calling you analytics wizard.
they do. Yeah, some people call me. Yeah, and I've definitely gotten those introductions before of where people were like, "This guy, he's the wizard, so you gotta talk to him." I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go with it. So
Great example for
yeah,
personal branding, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
So
totally.
when you told us that you have been, or that it started 8 years ago, was there one version of your website where you hadn't been this analytics wizard? Was there
So
some
yeah, let
others?
me. I'll give you kind of like my professional kind of pathway into this. So
Yeah.
I stumbled into digital analytics. I did not like go out and be like, I'm going to go into digital analytics. I really was trying to actually relearn software for music production.
Hmm.
And I worked, to do that, I worked as an intern at the Apple and Adobe training center in their kind of sales department, and their
Hmm.
sales force was a mess. So I like cleaned it up, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm good at software, so I might as well like start going and learning more software. And that's where I started learning like PPC, like Google Ads. I started like doing marketing for the company, and then I fell in love with digital analytics, like Google Analytics at the time, and ended up in a at an agency for the first time
Hmm.
doing digital strategy there. And then I decided to start my own company about about 7 8 years ago, or like probably about 8 years ago. And that company was like the antithesis of me. It was really weird because I thought, like you said, that you had to have the website where, it was, we do this and this and this and
Yeah.
this and this
And
and
that's our
the.
solutions and our services
Yes.
and our career.
And I tried to make it like somewhat creative, but it just like didn't ever feel like it was me.
Hmm.
And so about 3 years ago, I ended up leaving my own company that I started. We did really well. I ended up leaving while it was doing very, very well.
Hmm.
And I joined a different agency. And that agency is like my full-time position. But I also wanted to create a website that was for me. And that's, where like that really represented everything that I was kind of about, and not just the analytics side, but like my life work around like my creative stuff too. And
Yeah.
and that's, I just wanted to have that joshsilverbauer.com. And that was around the time where I started exploring music in my role of digital analytics thought leader. And so I wanted to put all of that together and put it on, a website. And that's really what came out, which was this like, kind of like, I do digital analytics, but I also do all this other stuff too. And this
Yeah.
is who you're working with if you're working with me. And I
Yeah.
want to lead with that because I want to have good relationships from the get-go. And if anybody doesn't like the humor, anybody doesn't like the music, anyone doesn't like that, they're not going to choose me, right? And so I want to lead with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So I think you could say that when you're working together with you, you get the full Josh Silverbauer, also
Yes.
the business or the digital analytics consultant, but also the private, the individual person, the musician Josh
Yeah.
Silverbauer.
Yeah.
Would you say that you that there's an impact on your work, how you speak with people? Because I cannot imagine that you are going to meetings like in a business suit or
Yeah.
talking the typical business administration language. I would imagine
So
that
I,
you're
I do know
also.
I do know how to so like I could like one of the unique things is like I really lead with my full personality, but I
Mhm.
know how to be kind of the most thought-provoking person in the room around analytics, right? And so, there's a lot of like confidence that I bring with kind of how I'm explaining the structure of things. I also am very kind of like I make sure to be very approachable about how I'm talking about it. And so I am never been the type of person to wear a suit. I had to do it like 3 or 4 times in my entire career. And I'm like, no, I don't like this, right? So
Yeah.
I come in, my famous story about like, and then someone just regurgitated to me 3 weeks ago is like when I showed up to my, I from the future, my agency showed up to the first client meeting in a Barbie Ken outfit that
Yeah.
just said, I am Knuff. And I'm just like, I'm there and I'm like, yo, what's up? And that's me.
Yeah.
But I'm also leading with strategy and I'm leading with, like talking about analytics in ways that people have never really thought about it before, right? Or how to approach it before.
Yeah.
And I think that gives me a lot of autonomy to kind of to be myself, and I think it's refreshing too, because so many people are so used to we're going to talk and it doesn't mean anything versus like, we're actually going to have a conversation and get to the end result that you want.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think business suits are not that common in our analytics or IT industry, but more than the business suit would be the business language. Or like you said, you can talk for hours and hours and don't say anything, indeed. So that you're more on the, like we talked about before, this punchline, the badunch, you get to the point, and in a more visual language, more metaphoric or more punchy. So would you say that this had some impact on your work? That, for example, when you're going out of a meeting, the clients are actually doing more what you recommended to them because of your kind of language and your kind of approach?
Yeah, I do, because I think when you meet somebody on their level, or when you kind of find I think a lot of times with agencies, then also with consultants, anyone, who's really trying to be the strategy around helping people, a lot of times it's a kind of like us and them, right? Kind of situation where it's like, I'm talking to you and I'm talking down to you, and I'm going to use a lot of big words because I want to, make sure that I look smarter than everybody, right?
Yeah.
But that's not actually, that doesn't work very well. It might establish you as like the person for a little bit, but the moment you get something wrong, then you're out, right? And I think like where I come in is trying to be very, very approachable, trying to use language that everybody understands around this, trying to approach it in a fun and creative and fun way, as well. And I think that there's a lot of stickiness to that because one, people can relate to you. Two, you become more of a teammate versus just a, kind of like a boss almost, right? And people find you as like essential because you're really, the person who's kind of leading the pack or becoming the leader, but you're also empowering your clients by giving them education, right? And helping them see it a different way. And I think that that's it's just teaching in a way, it's just like being a good teacher, where you're empowering your students, right? And ultimately you want them to be learning from you, and I don't think that you should be restricting all the knowledge by trying to look like better than everybody,
Yeah, exactly. So, and I would also say that it's a kind of it helps to filter out, to sort out those kind of clients you don't work with, don't want to work with, or it helps to get to the right clients that are happy with your kind of work and with your type of work.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like what, and I've worked, it's like for me, since I've done, my own agency for a really long time. And when I just started, we worked obviously with a lot of just startups and, different kind of like smaller organizations who were trying to grow. And then now with my full-time job with From Future, I work with like humongous organizations that are enterprise level, right? So I've really worked with pretty much a full scope of different types of clients. And ultimately for me, it's always kind of the same, where it's, no matter what, people are just trying to, really understand things with digital analytics. Like their goal is to understand, right? And if you are talking in a language that they don't understand already, then it's going to be a humongous turnoff, right?
Yeah.
Because all they're trying to do is get a better grasp of what things mean, right? And so it's so important from a communication perspective to also be able to communicate in a way that they understand, you
Yeah.
know, and not try to put up that, you know, I know so much filter, you know.
But many people are afraid to tell you that they don't understand what you're talking about, and they are always
Yeah.
nodding and are afraid to seem to be stupid or
Yeah.
don't get it. Would you say that this content marketing in general, I mean, you're doing LinkedIn, you're doing videos and music. Are there some other content pieces you are doing or creating?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube. YouTube is like where all the
Yeah.
videos are. I'm working on, so right now, because I'm working on volume 2 of the album,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to get an Instagram going or TikTok going, you know, where kind of content is supposed to be. LinkedIn's a really funny place because, you know, I think what really works for me with LinkedIn is that like LinkedIn is a place of business, right? And people are really kind of afraid to put out content that is not business related, you
Yeah.
know? So it's been a really interesting sweet spot for me because I get to be, you know, the funny person on LinkedIn versus like having to be out on Instagram and Twitter where everybody's trying to be a funny person or everybody's trying to be, you know, like put out stuff. And so it's like harder to kind of break through the noise of those platforms when everybody else is trying to do stuff already there in a similar way. So
Yeah.
that's why I like LinkedIn. And that's why I like it for me. But I do want to expand it to some of these other places because it's just, you know, I think there's value in having the content there too. It's just, it's hard to, you know, with all the stuff that I'm doing, you know, I'm, you know, working a full-time job. I'm creating this music stuff. I have a family of 2 kids. It's like every additional channel that I'm trying to manage is like a
more
full-time
work.
job. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's just like, you know, I think there is some value in just like, this is where I am, LinkedIn and YouTube, but I do want to expand.
Yeah, yeah. I have a hypothesis about LinkedIn because I would say that people are not browsing on LinkedIn because they want to learn something. They are browsing on LinkedIn because they want to get entertained. So 5 minutes between 2 meetings, or I'm kind of tired. Let's go to LinkedIn. But because it's a business network, like you said, they haven't this guilty conscience, or it's okay to go to browse on LinkedIn when you're at the office. It's not okay to browse on Instagram or Facebook or other websites like 9gag or some other fun
Yep.
websites. And I don't know. I think that's the, can you say, loophole or the trick that you found out. It's not about posting serious learning stuff, not those long articles. It's more about this badunch again.
Yeah.
So this
I think this,
punchline.
I think
And
it's both. I think it's both because I
yeah,
think like, you know, one thing that is if you're just funny, then you become kind of the class clown, right? Right? Like,
hmm
but so, you know, one thing that has been a little bit tricky for me with content creation is the balance of coming and of being like, you know what you're talking about, but also you don't take yourself seriously or that seriously, right? And I think that's the sweet spot that you're trying to get in LinkedIn is you still like you on, you know, about digital analytics in a really, really highly educated way, but you are not somebody who's staunchy about it, right? And so like that's where I wanna that's the brand that I want to give off. You
hmm
know, like, and so trying to find that balance. If I'm too funny, if all I'm posting is memes and stuff, people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, you know,
this
this
is
person
it's a funny
is
guy,
this
just
is
a
a
funny
funny
guy.
guy. He's just a funny guy. I don't really want to work with him. He's just funny, you know." But you know, if I post those memes and then I also post educational content in a way where people can learn every
Mhm.
so often, then there's a lot of value in that, right? So yeah, finding that balance.
Is there such a thing like a process where how you are creating your content that you say, okay, I'm starting with this uh, serious content or this learning content, and then I try to get this badunch into it, the funny side into it, or is it?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so I have my like big projects that I work on, right? Like, if I'm work like if, for instance, I'm working on an album where I have these like conferences, which I'm going to be doing more of, where I'm doing Paris. So that gives me a lot
Hmm.
of content that I like, are like my my bread and butter content of like this is my high goal of like what I want to get out there, and then I'm kind of scouring the news of like updates on platforms, updates from the different, things. And I'm like, what's my funny take on it? Right. Do
Yeah.
I have a funny take on it? Cookies are gone, right? And now they're back. There has to be something funny in that, right? What's the fun? What's the
What's the funny
punchline
thing
of
about?
this,
Yeah.
right? So I found some content that I like to do recurringly. So like the Venn diagrams where I
Yeah.
like take all of these things and, you know, kind of find the funny connections in them. And I'll use something in the news cycle for that so that it's relatively, relevant. Um, and, I'll have these kind of like holidays too, where I'm like, okay, I know I want to do something on Halloween. I know I want to do something on Valentine's Day that's funny, right? So I kind of have a general idea, but then, sometimes it's just shit posts. And I hope I can say that on your podcast, but like just the things where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just had this idea and I want to do. And so I just like do it. So like I do give myself the flexibility to like come up with something on the spot, and I don't have like a rigid content schedule where I'm like, okay, on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do
Mm.
this, on Wednesdays I do this. So it's a little bit of both.
So there's the spontaneous ideas
Yeah.
because you're always kind of screening in your head when you're seeing new things. And there's a real content plan, like you said. Then Christmas comes up. What could I do with this Christmas topic?
Yes.
Cookies, third party cookies are um, still not going away. What can I do about
Right.
this? These Venn diagrams, you talked about it. How much time does it take to create such a Venn diagram?
So usually like the Venn diagrams are like, so it doesn't take too much time. So like the whole process probably takes like actually for A1 it takes only like 10 minutes actually to design and stuff. But for like how to get these things to connect, that is one of the hardest things that in the content that I do. I would say like it probably takes me about like 12 hours of thinking
Yeah,
to do it, right? Like
yeah,
it's just like I have these ideas of things that I want to connect. And it's the twos are really easy. It's the one that connects all three of them that is like, oh my gosh, what is the perfect middle piece for this, right? If I'm
yeah,
gonna take
yeah.
Godzilla and third party cookies and forget the last one I did, the Beauty and the Beast, and put them all together, what is that middle spot? What connects them all? And I will be thinking up until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just in bed, lying awake, trying to connect this puzzle in my brain, Usually I get something, within 12 hours, but that is a tough one to do.
Is there a certain line of time where you have to decide, okay, this idea won't work. I have to put it to grave.
Yeah, I mean, usually not with the recurring ones, but I'll definitely have some, like, of those spontaneous posts where I'm like, is this funny? I'm like, is this funny? Like, and sometimes I ask people, where I will come up with an idea that I'm like, is this funny or is this just dumb? Right? Because I'll have those. So, like, an example of that was, I think I ran a LinkedIn poll on, you're running an AA test, right? Which one wins, A or A,
yeah,
right? And I was like, is that funny or is that just dumb to put out a poll that like has no relevance at all? And I sent it to like some, like I'm in a group of people who are, like 4 or 5 of us who all build content, and all support each other. around our content that was out. I said, "Is this funny?" And one of the guys has said, "Yeah, this is funny. Do it." And so I did it, and I got like 600 responses on it. And I was like, "Okay, I guess it's funny," you know. So it's just hard to know in your own head when you come up with these ideas, like what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. Because I've definitely released some really funny things that I think are funny, and then I get like 3 likes. So it's just hard. And I like released double analytics on Thanksgiving, which I thought was like the dumbest thing ever. And that was the highest engaged post that I've had all year, and I'm like, who knows? Who knows? You just gotta keep trying things and see what happens. So,
yeah, reminds me of what stand-up comedians do. They're also testing new jokes in front of a little peer group, in front of a little audience. And it also reminds me of the job of those writers for late night talk shows, maybe, because there are also writers who have to create or think about jokes about the daily news. And it's reminded me when you told me that you are just screening some news updates and try to find out what's the funny thing about it. So maybe there could be at some time some kind of digital marketing late night show with just Silverbauer hosting it.
I mean, it's kind of still a secret, but I'll give a little shout out to the website that I've been working on, which is coming out, which is a big parody website on digital. So that is in the works. The late night TV show of digital marketing. We'll call it the onion of digital marketing is I'm working on something for that. So
okay. Is there a release date you could tell us?
I would say that it will probably be released in the fall this year.
Okay. Yeah. So not that long time.
Not that long. We're at the final stretches of the website.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm curious now. One question is: do you measure the performance of your content?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I have KPIs around what I want to achieve. So like for instance, this year my goal is to get to 10,000 followers. Right. I started this year with I believe 5,000 in the beginning of the year. And I said I wouldn't have done all that this year. I am now at 9,300 followers, right? So I'm about 700 away from that goal. Yeah. So I'm on the pathway, and I think I will take that for my goal this year. So I'm measuring the performance of how many followers am I getting? And I'm doing it in a way where, like, yes, I could go out and I could follow a bunch of people, and then they'll probably follow me. But I want to do it in a way where I'm making content, and then I'm getting people who are actually resonating with my content. So it's not just like vanity followers; it's like actual followers who care, right?
Yeah.
So that's one, and then two, I'm measuring kind of like each week, what is getting attention. So like I will be, like, okay, what kind of funny posts do get attention? What kind of educational posts get attention? When I do a tit, what kind of content within the tit gets attention? Is GA4 getting more attention than Clarity? Is Clarity doing better than, like just talking about BigQuery, right? Like what kind of resonates with the crowd that is following me? And I'll take note of that so that like I build more content around that. And then, but it does not deter me from, just those spontaneous posts where sometimes I'm like, no, I just want to write something about some facility, So,
yeah. Okay. So you are not only looking at those metrics that you can see in LinkedIn itself, but you're also doing your own analysis, like some topic analysis.
Yeah, topic analysis and I don't really, it's all kind of like engagement and like analysis. I don't really have like KPIs around like, is it bringing business in or not, right? Because I think that there is going to be an indirect results of that, right? It's not going to be like you post something
to measure that,
right? It's not going to be like you post something funny and then you get like a client, right? It's going to be more like you post a bunch of different things and then people know you're there. And so at some point, somebody will reach out because they know that you're a fault leader indirectly around this stuff,
because you're the top of mind person they are thinking about when they're thinking about digital analytics. Yeah, I read about that there are three types of posts you can do. It's the social posts that the people can connect to you as a person, then the transactional posts or conversational posts that you want to do, let them do something like signing up for a newsletter or getting in touch with you. And the third post is that they see you as an authority, that you know what you're speaking about, so that you are a competent person in your field.
Yeah, I don't like the transactional posts very much. I don't think that they're very valuable.
They don't work. I tried it, but these type of posts work the less. So they they get the less amount of clicks and likes.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're trying to go on a date and then you're like, "Hey, you want to get married?" You know, it's like you're like in a dating app. You're like, "Hey, I'm really looking to get married to you." It's like, no, they're gonna be like, no, well, it's way too fast,
too
right?
Pushy.
You want to be just conversational, and you want to be funny, and you want to be creative, you know, and that's what will get them to, continue to talk to you.
It doesn't work to shout, "Hey, buy from me. I'm really good at this field. Buy from me." Doesn't work. Okay. You also talked about that you have some kind of peer group. These 5 people. Are there people in other fields besides digital analytics or other LinkedIn creators that you could recommend or that you have found and that inspired you?
So, I mean, I think so this group that I'm with they're all CRO people, actually. And they're all great too. I mean, like their approach to content is the same way that I approach content, right? We got Sunny, who is from No Hacks show. He's a really funny guy, and he puts out like really great content around CRO. We have Linda Bustos, who also is putting out like really creative content around this stuff. So like there's a lot of really creative people. It's just hard to like sometimes break through that noise. So like having this kind of content group who all supports each other in comments and creates engagement can be really helpful for any content creator to really help them at least start with the initial engagement of a post, which oftentimes is the pure reason that it gets shown to people in LinkedIn, right? Because you're fighting with the algorithm. And if no one's interacting with you, regardless of how good the post is, then it doesn't really show to a lot of people. So having kind of a group that, really helps each other kind of get that engagement can be really valuable.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. Okay. Josh, I just looked at the clock. We are talking about 30 minutes now.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time. Besides your new website, the Onion of Digital Marketing, you called it, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other things we can expect from you in the next weeks or months? I know you posted about the Microsoft Clarity YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I've been working with Microsoft Clarity for a while. I'm a product advisor there, helping them with the product and making it better. And I did like a little spot for them, that will possibly show up on their YouTube. They probably will. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll be doing more tutorials around Clarity, and so you'll definitely see me there. I have my new album coming out probably in the fall, for the next stage of Cookie's adventure. It's called User Journey Volume 2: The Custom Dimension. Right, so
Cookie is the main character.
Cookie is the main character. He's the alien. To catch everybody up, alien who loses his universe because his universe is having a universal sunset. And so basically he has to go find a new universe, and that was like the first album. And now the second album is in exploring different universes and finding his new universe, but he doesn't like any of them, so he starts his own custom dimension. And there's some multiversal chaos that happens because of that. So that's the story, and really excited. I have some really cool new analytics people who are going to be contributing their voices to it. So yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And I would guess that our digital marketing field and analytics field and privacy and so will come up with new updates and news that will get you many possibilities to think about what's the funny thing about it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's the beautiful world of digital analytics is that it's always changing, and when anything always changes, there's always new content.
and
So,
funny stuff
yeah,
also.
and funny stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, man.
So, bye.
Take care.